Your dog cannot tell you what makes them happy, but scientists have spent the last 20 years asking them anyway, using brain scanners, heart rate monitors, and some very clever choice experiments. And the answers are not always what we assume. Some of the things we do every single day, thinking we are showing love, barely register. And some of the things we discourage turn out to be the highlights of your dog's entire week. So here are 15 things dogs love the most, counting down to the one that matters more than everything else combined. 15. Music, but only the right kind. Researchers at the Scottish SPCA and the University of Glasgow played 5 different genres to shelter dogs across 5 days while the dogs wore heart rate monitors. Every genre helped a little. The dog spent more time lying down and less time standing, no matter what was on. But soft rock and reggae came out on top, producing the highest heart rate variability, which is a reliable physical sign of lower stress. The second lesson matters just as much. Dogs get used to sound fast, so the same calming playlist on repeat stops working. Variety is what keeps it effective. 14. Rolling in something absolutely horrifying. Every owner knows the moment. Your dog finds a patch of something unspeakable, drops a shoulder, and goes in with total commitment. Nobody is completely certain why they do it. The leading theories involve scent camouflage, inherited from wild ancestors, or carrying an interesting smell home to share with the group. What we do know is that this is not misbehavior. It is a deeply motivated, natural behavior, and the dog doing it is having one of the best 30 seconds of their month. You can wash them. You cannot talk them out of it. 13. Digging. Digging sits in the same category. It is intrinsically rewarding, meaning the act itself is the reward, with no treat required at the end. Terriers and northern breeds are especially driven, but almost every dog has some version of it. The mistake owners make is trying to eliminate the behavior instead of relocating it. A sandbox in the corner of the garden, a plastic tub filled with soil, or a designated patch where digging is allowed will usually solve a flower bed problem faster than any amount of correction. 12. Meeting the right dogs. Not every dog. There is a myth that dogs need constant socializing. In reality, most adult dogs have preferences that are as specific as ours. They have a few friends they genuinely enjoy, a larger group they tolerate, and some individuals they would rather never see again. Forced greetings on tight leads in narrow spaces are stressful, not social. What dogs actually love is unhurried time with familiar dogs whose play style matches their own, in a space big enough to walk away when they have had enough. 11. Something brand new. Dogs are neophilic, meaning they are drawn to novelty. Professor Daniel Mills at the University of Lincoln co-authored research on this, and in one test, dogs chose an unfamiliar toy over a familiar one 38 times out of 50. This is why the toy basket in the corner gets ignored, while the new one gets destroyed in an afternoon. The fix costs nothing. Rotate the toys. Put 2/3 of them away in a cupboard. Swap them out every week or two, and a 3-year-old toy becomes exciting again. 10. Chewing. Chewing is not just something dogs do when they are bored. Chewing appears to release endorphins, which is why it has a genuinely calming effect. In owner surveys, chewing was reported to prevent boredom, settle dogs down, and reduce destruction of household items. Studies in kennels have found that long-lasting chews help dogs stay in a positive emotional state during short periods of being left alone. If your dog struggles to settle in the evening, a chew is often more effective than another walk. 9. Working for their food. Dogs are foragers by design. and a bowl of food is over in 90 seconds. Scratch feeding, snuffle mats, puzzle feeders, and food-stuffed rubber toys all turn a meal into an activity. This taps into what behaviorists call the seeking system. And here is the key insight. For a dog, the searching is more pleasurable than the finding. The hunt is the good part. You can turn one ordinary breakfast into 15 minutes of genuine happiness without changing a single thing about what is in the bowl. 8. A safe place to switch off. Adult dogs need a lot of sleep, and much of it is broken and light. What they love, a spot where they can go fully offline. That usually means somewhere with their back protected, a view of the room or the door, and a temperature they can regulate by moving. Just as importantly, it needs to be a place where nobody bothers them. A bed that children and other pets are taught to leave alone is worth more to a dog than an expensive one in the middle of the traffic. 7. Knowing what happens next. Predictability is one of the most underrated things in a dog's life. Dogs are extraordinary at reading patterns, which is why yours knows the walk is coming before you touch the lead. When the day has a reliable shape, meals at similar times, walks in a similar window, a consistent wind down before bed, dogs settle more easily and recover faster from stressful events. This does not mean rigid scheduling. It means a rhythm the dog can anticipate, so they are not permanently on standby waiting to find out. 6. Being allowed to say no. Give your dog choice, and you will see them relax. This is why the consent test is so useful. Pet your dog for a few seconds, then stop and take your hands away. If they lean back in, nudge your hand, or reposition for more, they are enjoying it. If they turn away, go still, or move off, they were tolerating it. Dogs who are regularly given the option to leave an interaction tend to opt in more often, not less. Control over their own experience is genuinely rewarding to them. 5. Playing with you specifically. Tug and fetch are not just exercise. They are one of the clearest ways dogs experience connection with a person, which is why a game with you is usually more valuable to your dog than the same game with a stranger, and why play often works as a reward in training. And on Tug, the old advice about never letting your dog win was wrong. Letting them win keeps the game exciting and does not create dominance problems. What matters far more is that the game has an on switch and an off switch that you both understand. 4. That ridiculous voice you use. You know the one. Higher pitch, exaggerated warmth, questions your dog will never answer. Alex Benjamin and Katie Slocombe at the University of York tested whether adult dogs actually care. They do, with a condition. Dogs chose to spend more time with a person who used that high-pitched voice and said dog-relevant things like, "Good boy," or "Want to go for a walk." When the researchers mixed it up, high-pitched voice with irrelevant content, or normal voice with dog words, the preference disappeared. Dogs want the tone and the content to match. 3. Being touched, not just told. This one reorders a lot of assumptions. Erica Feuerbacher and Clive Wynne ran a study with the memorable title, "Shut Up and Pet Me," giving dogs a choice between petting and vocal praise. Petting won decisively, even when the praise came from the dog's own owner. More striking still, vocal praise on its own produced about as much interest as no interaction at all. Words like "good boy" only mean something because they have been paired with things that already matter. Petting needs no translation, and the dogs never got tired of it. 2. Sniffing on their own terms. Roughly a third of a dog's brain function is dedicated to scent, and a walk where they are hurried past every lamppost is a walk with most of the content removed. In one study, pet dogs who did nose work became measurably more optimistic on a judgment bias test, which is one of the better tools we have for assessing an animal's emotional state. Newer research on scent work classes points in the same direction. So try the Sniffari. Same route, half the distance, and the dog decides where to stop. 1. You, not the food. You. Gregory Burns and his team at Emory University trained dogs to lie still in an MRI scanner and measured reward activity in the brain in response to food versus praise from their owner. In 13 of the 15 dogs, praise produced roughly equal or greater activation than food. To be clear, this does not mean dogs would choose you over dinner every time, and there were real differences between individuals. But it does mean that for most dogs, you are not simply the person who operates the food. You register in the reward system all by yourself. And there is a second piece. Research led by Miho Nagasawa in Japan found that when dogs and owners gaze at each other, oxytocin rises in both of them, the same hormonal loop that bonds a parent to an infant. Wolves raised by humans did not show it. Somewhere in the process of becoming dogs, they found a way into that system. Which of these does your dog love the most? Tell me in the comments. I read every one. And if this was useful, subscribe. There is more coming.